Hello viewers and learners of the Postgraduate Diploma in Environmental Management and Law and the Master of Arts in Environmental and Occupational Health. Welcome to this program. Today we will discuss on the topic Mission Life, and along with me in the studio is Professor R. Baskar from the Discipline of Geology, School of Sciences, IGNOU. Welcome to this session.
Thank you.
So, now if we have to discuss the Mission Life, now the ancient Indian societies, they had deeply believed and they had the beliefs in the spiritual and philosophical verses, and that is how in these principles they conserved the environment and they worked for their environmental protection. So we have a rich ecological and eco-cultural heritage. An example is those ancient temple tank conservation systems that existed in the Tamil Nadu, and here we have many of the temples where the water conservation, because these water bodies were actually thought as God, and they thought that the people thought that this was a gift from God Varuna. So the community management was there for conserving these water bodies. And in the temple, they were also called as the kolam, and some of them also had the vehicle where there were channels within these water reservoirs, and when there was overflow in one of the tanks, it could then get connected and then stored into another tank. So these were ancient systems of the water conservation practices. Now in Kerala also there are several ancient practices which are the surangams, where again the water conservation was another important principle that people practiced. Now, in recent times, we have had several of the mass movements. For example, we have had the Amrit Sarovar, which was launched in April 2022 by the Government of India, and that was basically in order to rejuvenate the 75 different types of the water bodies that are present in our country. In the same way, in the year 2024, on the World Environment Day, our Honorable Prime Minister, he suggested good mass movement practice, that is Ek Ped Maa Ka Naam, and that is planting one plant for one's mother, and this way we can actually contribute to sustainability, and we can contribute to the environmental conservation and the protection of the planet. So now if we see the buzzwords that we hear today in environment are circular economy, sustainability, greenwashing, circular economy, then we find the carbon neutral and also the carbon footprint and so on. So coming on to Mission Life, so this life, this stands for lifestyle for environment, and the lifestyle for environment, this needs our unified action for today. So basically this was an India-led mass movement, global mass movement, and this is basically in order to promote sustainable living or lifestyle practices and individual sustainable practices. And we will see in the course of this program how we can, as an individual also, we can contribute to these various circular economy principles. So this is a global effort, and here it is led by India, and it is promoting the eco-friendly actions. And it says that all our daily activities, the daily task, for example, even if we are drinking tea, so maybe we could drink it in the kulhad or the clay pots for the water conservation, clay pot for drinking tea. So all these small actions will contribute to sustainability. Then it also focuses on the UN goals for the climate, for the energy sector, and also for the consumption. So this can become a mass movement if everybody practices this religiously, and it can become an environmentally conscious lifestyle. And this concept was put forth by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji at the COP26. And by adopting a circular economy, that is by refusing the products which are non-sustainable, by reducing the use of certain things, by reusing, for example, it could be the glass or the steel, we could reuse certain containers, certain materials, and also we can recycle paper and so on. By adopting certain eco-friendly technology, and these technologies can be innovative, and the life's movement, this also seeks to transform the people to the pro-planet people, that is, who would adopt the sustainable lifestyles. So that is in every mode of life, even when we are opting for any dress that we wear. So the cotton fabrics, these are totally made of the pure cotton fiber and totally sustainable, rather than we opt for polyester, which is again not going to do any good to the environment. And these also stay for long, where even when you put a piece of the polythene and a piece of a cloth, that is a cotton cloth, into the ground, you will see each one of them, they will take different degradation times, and you will see that the polyester remains in the environment for long periods of time. So you should choose certain fabrics that are good for the skin, that are skin friendly, and that is also planet friendly. So everything that this mission life or the lifestyle practices that have to be followed are in focus with the environment and environment conservation and the practices. So we need to shift to a circular economy. So from the throwaway culture, like you're using something in a plastic glass and then you're throwing this. So we need to shift from this throwaway culture to a circular economy. Global ecosystems and populations, they suffer from the climate change. So even a small rise in the temperature, a 2-degree rise in warming, that can affect the temperatures, that can affect the chronic water scarcity. And again, 800 million to a billion people, they can be affected due to all these problems and the even the population explosion and other environmental issues that we are facing today. So without action, the world's GDP that could also drop by 18% by the year 2050. Therefore, what do we have to do? We need to change communities. We need to change the individuals. So that is what this mission life basically aims for. Many of the global policies, these have addressed the environmental policies, they have addressed environmental issues, the climate change, but despite all the promises that have been given by these, we find that the individuals, the communities, even the bigger organizations, they have overlooked the actions that they should responsibly be taking. So the changes should come from the personal level, from the community actions, and this can definitely influence the environmental decisions, the environmental ways, and also the climate action and the climate problems. Now, Professor Baskar, can you detail more on the UNEP and the other goals of the life?
Okay, you have given a very good background. In fact, individual actions, if you see the UNEP report, it tells 20% of the global emissions could drop if 1 billion out of 8 billion people adopt eco-friendly practices. This is something which we can do. Also, the 2020 UNDP report says that humans have great power over the planet, and we have to use this power to redefine what is progress and to monitor the carbon footprint. Now, if you see, India has a rich experience in influencing the behavioral change. And while other countries have focused on policies, in India, the mass behavior movement and behavioral change, there are large number of success stories, and one can learn from this. To tell you a few examples, you can see the Swachh Sagar, Surakshit Sagar campaign, which is led by Ministry of Environment. 75 beaches and 75 days and 15,000 tons of trash to be cleaned. Again, if you see Swachh Bharat Mission, 100 million toilets in rural India and in 7 years. Again, if you see the Ujjwala scheme, again Ministry of Natural Gas and Petroleum, if you see the LPG connections rose from 62% in 2015 to almost 99.8% in 2021. So you can see India has a rich experience in doing these kind of mass movements, and this life, as Dr. Sushmitha mentioned, mission life was introduced by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji at COP26 at Glasgow in London. And this was an India-led movement. And why it is so? Because India is traditionally, you can see our lifestyles, as Sushmitha mentioned, is sustainable. And it is designed to inspire communities and individuals to sustainable living and protect the nature. And people who practice this are called pro-planet people. Now, India is the first country to include mission life in its nationally determined contributions. This is again a big decision taken just by individual changes, how we can influence the effects of the climate change. And India is included in the nationally determined actions, the Paris Agreement which was signed, and life is based on India's eco-friendly culture and heritage. If you see the India's footprint, it is 1.8 tons per annually, whereas globally it is around 4.5 tons. And Indian carbon footprint is 60% less compared to the global footprint. Now you can see that India uses, as Sushmitha mentioned, India uses a variety of methods to protect and conserve water. Like she said, in Tamil Nadu, in Rajasthan, in Gujarat, and in Nagaland, we have the Zabo system. All these are used. If you see our lifestyle, we still use clayware for cooking and serving. If you go to the streets, you will still find the food which is being served in sal leaves or banyan banana tree leaves they are serving, and then the tea is served in kullad or cups. So our lifestyle is sustainable, and we can do it. And sustainability is central to our tradition, and ancient systems and scriptures have stressed upon this. If you see the old buildings in the villages, you will always see on the top of the roof a small piece of glass. Why that piece of glass was there in that roof tile was to minimize the electricity consumption, so that in daytime you have the solar light coming. Also, if you see in India, we hand wash the clothes and sun dry them. We don't use dryers. Again, if you see our lifestyle, it is more preference for plant-based food and millets, again which are less greenhouse gas emitting lifestyle. So our lifestyle itself is suiting, and if we can have 1 billion people doing, then as I said earlier, as per UNEP report, 20% of the global emissions can be reduced. What is the goal? It is to have at least 1 billion Indians and global citizens to take actions to protect the environment between 22 and 28. The goal is for India to have 80% environmental friendly villages and urban local bodies by 2028. So you can see this is the goal. Now there are 3 important steps which are suggested, important sustainability shifts which are done. One is in the demand phase, shift 1, in which you encourage people to change their lifestyle so that they demand the products according to sustainable lifestyle. The second phase is the supply phase. In supply phase, what is done? The industries and the manufacturing sector adapts to the demand phase. And in the third phase, you have the policy changes which is taking place. That can take place in India as well as globally if the demand and supply change takes place. So this is a beautifully designed policy in which you have 3 phases. Now Niti Aayog will do the incubation and curation and piloting of this project, and this will be implemented by Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. This need not be done sequentially. Every phase is leading to the next phase. Now, why this mission life has 75 actions in 7 areas? India was celebrating its 75th independence, and it decided to have 75 life actions across 7 categories. Now, what is the most beautiful thing about these actions which are suggested is they are measurable, they are easily doable by individuals, communities and institutions with less of supply side dependencies, and also these actions what we are going to do are not going to disrupt the economic activity. In other words, they are going to encourage the economic activity. Now I would request Dr. Sushmitha Baskar to talk about the 7 themes of mission life and what steps individuals can take so that the mission life objectives are promoted.
Thank you, sir. So if we see now that we have seen that what is mission life all about, and now we will focus on the mission life themes, and as an individual and as a community, how we can contribute to these mission life themes. So as you see over here on the screen, the first one we are going to talk about is reducing waste, saving energy, saving water, saying no to the use of the single plastic, then adopting sustainable food systems, then we adopt healthy lifestyles, and of course we reduce the e-waste. So these are the categories where they have categorized that every individual and every community participation is required, where we can actually go about the environmental conservation, be it the energy conservation or be it the water conservation. So let us now list out the list of actions what we can do in the case of the energy sector. So we can opt for the energy efficient lighting and switching off the appliances when not in use, because there is a certain amount of charge which even goes through the electrical pipes even when you are just operating it through remotes. So we need to switch off these appliances and the main switch when they are not in use. Then bicycling. I think most of us have lost our contact and touch in bicycling to the institutions. I think when we were children, we used to bicycle to our schools, which were in the neighborhood, or the least we would at least bicycle to the parks nearby and meet up our friends. So we need to choose stairs, and that is also good for the cardiovascular health. Then we need to use the public transport in order to reduce the carbon footprint. Then we need to drive smart. So carpooling is a good activity, and I think many children going to school or going to college, they drive together, so they carpool. So here, instead of using 4 or 5 vehicles, one vehicle is sufficient, which can cater the requirement of at least 6 or 7 children or 4 or 5 college going children. And then we can use the compressed natural gas and the electrical vehicles, the EVs, which are now presently in use, only that the charging is limited to certain major cities and only certain points where they can be charged. But otherwise, this is also a very good option. And we can also switch off the engines at the red light and avoid the clutch misuse. Then we can practice mindful resource use, that is turning off the irrigational pumps and promoting sustainable habits and even the drip irrigation patterns in the agriculture, where the small drips of water can actually help in irrigating a field, and that way every drop that can be saved and that counts for more. Then we can harness the renewable energy. So for example, renewable energy you can get from anywhere. It could be the solar energy, it could be from the geothermal energy, it could be from the tidal energy, the hydroelectric power, the nuclear energy. Some other countries focus on nuclear energy. So we should harness the renewable energy and install the solar heaters or cookers or even the biogas plants. So from all these sectors, we can get the energy. Then we can optimize our AC and the AC cooling to the 24 degree or the room temperature. We can defrost our fridges, and we can also use earthen pots of water. Then we can use the low impact living lifestyles. For example, prefer the pressure cookers, then rather than boiling water for long periods of time and wasting the energy resource. Then again we can go for the outdoor exercise rather than running the treadmill for 15 minutes, for 20 minutes and so on. But maybe we could run in the local parks. We could cater to the outdoor gyms which are also there in many of the parks. So this can again reduce the energy requirement for an individual and also for at the community level. Then the water saving has to be done. So role of an individual in the water conservation. So we can shift to the water-wise crops like millets and diversify into the pulses like the oil seeds. Then we can adopt the micro irrigation, then bunding can be done. Then we can opt for the zero tillage and alternate wetting for the efficient water usage. Then we can build the rain harvesting systems, rainwater harvesting. So many of the houses which are being built these days, they are opting for the rainwater harvesting structures where the rainwater can be collected and then that could be filtered and then that could be also used for the various other activities at home and also in the bigger institutions. Then we can repurpose the waste for the low-cost drip irrigation, and we can support the community recharge like the Amrit Sarovar project, which was launched on 24th of April in 2022 by our Honorable Prime Minister. And here again 75 water bodies, 75 of these water resources, they were actually based that they could be restored to their clean conditions and to their good sterile conditions. So there are several of these projects, just like Mission Life, which have actually focused on the community action and bringing a mass movement for people together. And like in ancient days where people gathered around a tree for the conservation of the trees and sacred groves, so these days these mass movements are important to make people aware of their environment, to make people aware of the cleanliness, of the sanitation, and all highlighting the importance of Swachh Bharat and a cleanliness and a clean India and for the Bharat. So again, the water can be saved from the air conditioners, from the grey water that could be used from the vegetables. All this could be diverted to horticulture or to the garden, and for other uses, even for cleaning of the washrooms or the balconies. Then we can prefer the buckets over the hose pipes, where again we can save the water. We can fix the leaks in the taps, in the flushes and the pipelines promptly. We can install certain remote based or the water efficient fixtures and the sensor based taps and the lights in the rooms and in the washrooms. And we can also monitor the usage with a water meter and promote a mindful consumption at work and also at home. Single use plastic. So this, of course, we all know that that plastic is not good for the human health, not good for the environment health. So we need to use the reusable cloth bags and steel bottles, eco-friendly lunch boxes over the single-use plastic, and we can repurpose certain containers, packaging items, and recycle the plastic in order to minimize the virgin material consumption. Then the bamboo toothbrushes are already in use, and in any event and the mega events, like it could be marriages, it could be any birthday party, any major event, and the conferences. So here again the cutlery can be of the stainless steel rather than opting for the plastic. Then the sustainable food systems. So this is also a very major theme which is coming under Mission Life that should be adopted. So we should promote the millet based foods and diets, that is through the Anganwadi centers, then through the midday meal scheme which is done in the government schools, and public distribution schemes. Then we can compost our food waste, that is a biodegradable waste, and cultivate the kitchen or the terrace gardens. This could be done in the offices, in the domestic places, and we can prepare organic manure from the cow dung. And this organic manure that could be applied for the farms, and then we can see how the soil health improves to a very great extent. Then we should always go local and we should choose the local foods rather than importing them from very far off countries. So the local food is a very important staple diet of the people that should be encouraged. Then we can actually segregate the dry and the wet waste and contribute to the organic waste under the biogas scheme under Gobardhan, and they compost the agri residue and feed the uncooked vegetable scrap for the cattle. Then again, a paper can be recycled. Then we can repair the furniture items. Then we can donate clothes and books to certain organizations like libraries or the educational organizations, and we can keep the public places clean, avoid littering. So we need to have a clean India, a green India, and therefore we can ensure there is responsible pet care also when the pets are being taken out for the walks and in the parks. So finally, healthy lifestyles need to be adopted. We have to promote the indigenous herbs and traditional practices when it comes to food and cuisine. Then natural farming, planting the medicinal species and growing trees to combat pollution. Wild-based products should be avoided, and we should support the biodiversity through the conservation and the community conservation methods. And we can volunteer at food banks, at shelters, at green clubs, all to foster the collective environmental actions. The e-waste. So nowadays we are seeing that electronic waste also can be disposed of scientifically at certain e-waste centers, and repair and the use of this electronic waste rather than discarding them, this has to be taken as a point, and we should discard them only at the designated places where it is given. Then we can prefer the rechargeable lithium cells, and we should prefer the cloud storage to a pen drive or a hard drive. So all these are ways like how the digitalization can actually help in making India more sustainable. So now, Professor Baskar, if you can detail more on the KYIs of the mission life.
There are key performance indicators. They are quantitative indicators telling how many will be achieved in the period 22 to 28. The number of villages, the number of pro-planet people, the number of urban local bodies, and the number of life district. If you see this table, year-wise it is given. Pro-planet people, it is expected we will have at the end of the program 1 billion people, which is the target. Life village, 5,15,000 villages. Life urban local bodies, 3,700, and life districts, 766. Each year the progress is there. If you see the impact from life actions, if 1 billion people do the impact, the action and what it will have on impact on the saving, you can see small action like switching off car, scooter engines at traffic lights and railway crossings can save 22.5 billion kilowatts of energy. If you turn off taps when not in use, 9 trillion liters of water. If you use cloth bags instead of plastic bags, 375 million tons of solid waste is saved. If you recycle non-functional gadgets at e-waste, 0.75 million tons of e-waste is saved. If you compost food waste at home, you divert 15 billion tons of food from landfills. This is the impact from life actions if 1 billion Indians or globally they act. So you can see how individual actions are important. Now it is very important to understand that the life and SDG goals mission life are in sync. And the idea here is to use the resources so that we protect and preserve the planet. Whether it is SDG goal number 11, 12, 13, 14 or 15, all these are indirectly related to mission life. Number 11 is you can see sustainable cities and communities. Number 12, sustainable production and consumption. 13 is climate action. 14 is life on sea, and 15 is life on land. All these are related. And according to a new report, New Climate's Energy Report, if we focus on green growth, 65 million jobs can be created by 2030, and this matches with SDG goal number 8, decent work and economic growth. So you can see all the life mission are in sync with SDG goals, and the mission life supports and supplements the SDG goals, and the world is focusing on this, and mission life will play a key role in achieving these goals. Now, it is very important for us to understand that the Niti Aayog, along with Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and Ministry of External Affairs, will promote these ideas worldwide, and they will prepare a life compendium of the best global and Indian practices which will be available for sustainable living. This is a noble idea, a great idea where individual actions can change communities. Now you can also see that NEP 2020 and Mission Life are related. NEP 2020 focuses on environmental awareness, just not only token awareness, it integrates systemically into all levels of education. And this is the beauty of national education policy, that it has given so much importance to environmental issues. And this national environmental policy instills national pride and our rich culture which promotes sustainable living. It connects the ancient Indian thought about environment to sustainability. So you can see how important it is. Now, one of the important flagship programs of Ministry of Education is Eco Clubs for Mission Life, and this is launched so that the students, the school students are encouraged to be environmentally conscious. They foster community engagement, and they generate an intergenerational responsibility among them. The goal of Mission Life is to promote life, secure UN support for having an International Life Day. Dear learners, hope you have understood the importance of Mission Life. It is a mindset. It is a change from policy to personal practice. It is daily decisions that have planetary impact. We have to audit habits, not just policies. Mission Life connects lifestyle and legislation. No mission life, no sustainable living. Thank you very much for a very patient hearing.
Thank you.